Hi, so in this video, I wanted to talk a little bit about the idea of creating a regular or daily meditation practice. So if you're watching this, I imagine that you've meditated some or a lot, and maybe you might be interested in having a regular practice. Now, for most people, when they think about meditation or having a meditation practice, I think there's an implicit sort of a belief or thought that's going on, which is that the practice itself is a means to an end. So we practice and meditate so that we can blank. For example, we can become calmer, so that our relationships might improve, or that we might be more effective at work, or we might have more energy, or dissipate less energy worrying and being neurotic, or whatever it may be. But what I want to suggest in this video, I want to offer a tip or a suggestion, which is what would it look like if you reversed the order of things? In other words, instead of thinking of meditation, having a meditation practice as a means towards some end that you might have, what if you were to place the having of a daily practice as the end, as the result, the fruition, the fulfillment, the accomplishment? What would that do? What would that mean? So, and I would say not only having such a practice, but being able to continue such a practice, that would be the result. That's what you would be shooting for. What if you were to make a small change in thinking? Nothing else, nothing out here in terms of your actions or choices, but just in terms of how you conceptualize the goal. The goal is no longer having a better life, having better friends or relationships or better health or being calmer. The goal is simply to have the meditation practice that's regular and daily. So here's the thing. If I consider meditation to be the means toward all these ends, the natural sort of thought or question that tends to arise is, why do I meditate? Each day I'll be asking myself, why do I need to meditate? Why should I meditate? And the answer will be, well, because so I can be calmer, or I need it to function well, and so on. The problem with needing rational explanation or motivation or justification in order to meditate is that sometimes these motivations or justifications aren't within reach. When they're not within reach and our practice is dependent on having such a justification, the tendency will be to no longer practice, will be to no longer show up. And what more likely happens is that these justifications that can keep us going for 4 or 5 days, 4 or 5 weeks, or even months will lose their vigor, will lose their sort of juice. And we'll be like, you know what? I don't care so much about being calm as much. And now that was the main reason why I was meditating, I don't have a real reason to meditate. And then the meditation kind of goes out the window. And that's a pretty common phenomenon. On the other hand, when we flip the order and make the result, why should I meditate is no longer the question at hand. That's simply our goal. There's no why involved. That's the point. But it gives rise to a new set of questions, among which, the most central question that it probably gives rise to is a new question, which is, instead of why should I meditate, it's what are the causes and conditions that I might be able to put into place in my life that would give rise to me showing up daily, regularly, if not daily, to a meditation practice. It changes the emphasis, right? Instead of worrying about why should I meditate, now the concern is, what are the things I need to do with my life so that it would be supportive of having a practice? And that's a very personal question. But for me, I would say, for just some examples are, having a simple life is supportive of having a daily practice, right? If I have a pretty simple life, going from my life to sitting down for an hour or whatever it may be, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever, is not a big transition, so it's not an abrupt thing. On the other hand, if my life is chaotic and my life is full of drama, then transitioning from that kind of energy to sitting down quietly is a very abrupt and difficult transition. And so living a chaotic life is not supportive of having a daily practice. So now, because my goal is to have a daily practice, I'm motivated to simplifying my life and having less sort of mental drama. Another thing about meditation, another sort of answer to the question of what are the causes and conditions, might be it helps to have energy, because sitting down and practicing meditation requires an exertion of will. It's a disciplined act. And whenever we act in a way that's disciplined, it requires willpower, and that requires energy. So then suddenly, I'm motivated to possibly eating better, possibly getting rid of processed foods or minimizing it and eating more nutritious foods, trying to get my sleep, and so on. So I'm changing my life to support this goal. And what's interesting is that in some ways, whether we place meditation as the means or an end, we accomplish the same life changes. But I would say that reversing it to the way I'm suggesting, it has a more natural quality. And I want to compare it to the idea of, let's say, weight loss. Let's say a person's goal is to lose weight. So in order to lose weight, they're going to have to change the way they eat, for example. So they change the way they eat. Their new way of eating is the means toward the goal of losing weight. Now, if anyone who's tried to lose weight knows that that's a kind of a difficult position to put oneself in, because if your way of eating is serving the purpose of losing weight and you start weighing yourself, because you have to weigh yourself at some interval to know if you're succeeding or moving toward the goal of losing weight, there's going to be many times when there's no weight loss. And so that can be discouraging. And that discouragement can cause us to then slack off on our eating. Because I've had the thing of changing my diet and seeing no weight loss for about 2 weeks. But the reason why I didn't get discouraged in that case was because for me, I had placed changing my eating habits as the goal. My goal was to just simply eat differently. It wasn't to lose weight. And so when the weight didn't go down or fluctuate, I wasn't emotionally involved in that. Instead, it was more that I just got a notification on my iPad. Anyway, I was a little distracted. But so by placing the change of eating habits as the goal and trying to stabilize my eating habits in a way that I believe to be healthy, then, well, it's a little different from the meditation example, but then I ended up losing quite a bit of weight. And I wasn't moved emotionally by the non-results or the negative results that were staring me in the face some mornings. And likewise, I would say the same thing of a meditation practice. When we make that our goal, we start changing our life to support that. So we get the life change that we want. I would say that traditionally, meditation is not thought of as a mechanism for changing our lives. In at least the Dharma tradition, meditation comes toward the end. One sorts out one's life first. And what I'm referring to is something called the Eightfold Path. In the Eightfold Path, meditation doesn't arise till the end. And that's just a small reference. Please don't be bothered by that if you don't understand. Now, I may put together a couple more videos around this, around what happens when we make the simple change between placing the idea of having a meditation practice from the means to the result or the end. There are other things that happen that I think are important. But that's my first, that's the suggestion in this video, and possibly another one or two. We'll simply elaborate on the consequences or the pragmatic consequences of making that small flip. Thank you for watching, and I hope that gave you some food for thought.